Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. I had an office food thief, so I bought a hidden camera. After that, entitled customer loses it because we gave him the soda he ordered. And after that, entitled parent tries taking disabled mother's parking spot, gets humiliated. Now Karen assured me if we can get 1,000 likes on this video, she won't take anyone else's food for an entire week. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. And huge shout out to Nunya Biz, our newest official member of the Re-Army. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Join as an official channel member today, and I'll give you a special shout out in our next video. I had an office food thief, so I bought a hidden camera. A few things about me that made it really lame to have a food thief. I have a lot of food allergies, so I can't just get lunch at the cafeteria or at a nearby restaurant. Because I have a new baby, half the time I don't manage to show up at work with a lunch. I either run out of time to pack one, or if I did remember, I leave it on the counter. My solution to all of this was to leave lots of non-perishable snacks in my office, and also a lot of candy, because I also have a 3-year-old, and therefore work is the only place I can shovel Skittles into my mouth without a little hand extending into the field of vision and a little voice saying please. Snacks that were specifically free of my allergens, some of which were specialty foods because of this. The type of specialty food that just doesn't taste as good as food that contains the allergen, and also costs twice as much. Because I'm not getting a lot of sleep right now, I deserve nice things. So, because I'm not getting a lot of sleep right now, when I first came back from maternity leave, assembled my snack hoard, and started having things go missing. I genuinely thought I was just losing my mind. Boxes of candy were running out faster than I thought I was eating them. I'd come in the morning, and things wouldn't be where I left them. At one point, I brought a bag of chips to work, folded the rim of the bag down so I wasn't plunging my arm elbow deep into the grease pit, and then put a bag clip on it when I went home. And when I came in the next morning, the bag was unrolled and re-clipped. I went, wow, I must be more tired than I thought. Rolled the bag back down, and the next morning it was unrolled again. Just little things like that, almost every day, that made me go, wow, the post-baby brain is worse than I thought. And then I got the flu. I got the flu, and I was out for a whole week. Left behind at the office was an almost full box of Enjoy Life cookies, which are not enjoyable, but are free of all major allergens, and are also $5 a box, for like 12 sad little sand pies with some cinnamon on top. I ate one row of these cookies, and then I was out of the office for a week. For 1 week, I was not eating any of my snack hoard, but someone else was. Because I came back to work, opened my box of cookies, and found one. There was one single solitary cookie left. And on further examination, the one box of candy that had been opened was nowhere near to be found. And on top of that, the thief had done me the courtesy of opening a new box for me, except that they actually followed the push here to open instructions instead of just ripping one end of the box like I do, which they should darn well know at this point. Because by this time, they had been stealing from me for 2 whole months. The combination of these two things, the sheer audacity it takes to open a new box so you can continue stealing from someone, on top of the consumption of almost a whole box of specialty cookies that aren't even good, enraged me enough that, after going to my boss and getting some vague promises about checking if the security cameras in my wing of the building are functional or not, I went straight to Amazon and ordered myself a nanny cam. Not for my baby, for my snack hoard. Conveniently, it arrived the day before Valentine's Day. I set it up on top of a file cabinet looking down at my desk. On the desk, I laid out a fantastic spread of baked snacks. I got all my thief's favorites, and then I took it one step further. I bought myself a Valentine heart, broke the seal to make it more inviting, and left it out on my desk. The next morning, I came in to see some very obvious snack carnage. My thief had slowly been getting more brazen. Again, who opens a new box of something and opens it differently than the person they are stealing from? But this was just on another level. Individually wrapped things had been dumped out of their boxes. Bits of packaging had been thrown away. And yup, they had eaten some of the Valentine candy. For shame, office thief. Don't you know that's from someone who loves me? I played back the video. All was quiet throughout most of the evening, and I was just watching the shadows lengthen as the sun slowly set through the hallway window. And then, shortly before midnight, the night janitor arrived and went right ahead and took a 12-minute break in my office, sitting in my chair, eating my food. I started taking screenshots. I got him shoveling candy into his mouth with full palm to lips intensity, pouring things out onto the desk to pick his favorite flavors, not even bothering to put them back where he found them. And yes, eating my Valentine's candy. Screenshots went directly to my boss in an email. I went directly to my boss's door to hover and grin and ask if he had read my email. And I got assurance of a strongly worded email to the cleaning company and the barring of this particular employee from our place of business. I was also tactfully asked to please take my unauthorized spy camera home, which I did. I thought this was over until the girl who works the concession stand dropped by to thank me. Apparently, the food thief would start his shift just as she was closing down for the night and would try to get free coffee in that creepy guy way. One of the reception staff came by with the same sentiments. I'd never met the guy face to face, but apparently, as a woman, it was not a fun experience to have. I'd shown my screenshots to a few coworkers, whose eating 5 rabbits in a long coat's food had become office gossip by this point, and word had spread fast. I worked an earlier shift, so I didn't recognize him, but people whose shifts overlapped with his did. I hadn't told my husband about what I'd done because when I came home, raging about the blatant theft that had gone on while I'd had the flu, his only response had been, "You really shouldn't be leaving food at work then." But when I came home with the nanny cam and explained where and why I'd gotten it, his reaction surprised me. "You know, I think this is the first time I've seen you stand up for yourself. I'm proud of you." You know what, Reddit? I'm proud of me too. Speaking of snacks, what are your favorites? Please pause the video and leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got, entitled customer loses it because we gave him the soda he ordered. For context, both my parents were born and raised in Iowa, but my siblings and I have spent most of our childhoods in varying states of the US because my dad was in the Army. We moved to Georgia after his retirement from the military, and while I personally have moved back to Iowa for culinary school, my mom and all of my siblings still live in Georgia. After I graduated from high school, I started working at a popular chicken restaurant in the South that is unfortunately not available up north. One of the biggest reasons I'm looking forward to visiting my family this summer, to be perfectly honest. My older sister 2 from my previous post, who also worked at the same location and helped me get the job because it was my first job ever and I was inexperienced. I learned quickly enough, and it's still one of my favorite jobs to date. Sister 2 was one of the best workers at the store, as well as the favorite of several of the managers. Even though not a single family member of ours lives in the town where that particular store is, she still goes there occasionally to visit her old coworkers. On to the story. Sister 2 and I were both working the drive-thru that day along with another employee, who we'll call coworker. It was a busy time in the store, so Jordan was going back and forth between the drive-thru and the front registers. My sister and I were just fine on our own though, so we didn't mind that he was flip-flopping. So this guy, the entitled dad, comes through the drive-thru with several kids screaming in the back seat. He orders an entree for himself, and since it was Wednesday, he was able to get 2 free kids meals with that. Since he was the only adult in the car, he had to pay full price for the other 2 kids meals. While working out his order, he and my sister have a conversation that goes something like this. Entitled dad: "Can I get a Coke with my meal?" Sister 2: "Of course, what kind?" Keep in mind, this is the South, and while us Northerners say Coke and mean Coca-Cola, many Southerners use the word Coke to describe any Coke product, and given that the soda machine this restaurant had was one of those Coke Freestyle ones where you can get any Coke product ever, this was a necessary clarification. Entitled dad: "What? Are you an idiot? A Coke?" Me: "Sister 2, he doesn't have an accent. He probably means Coca-Cola. The four oldest of us were mostly raised among people with Midwestern accents, so most Southerners have an accent to us. Sister 2. You're right. She tells entitled dad his total, and he goes up to the window. Evidently, Sister 2's clarification put him in a foul mood, and instead of acting like a civilized human being, he throws his credit card at Sister 2 from his car window for her to process the transaction. Sister 2 has her silent rage face on, but she's been working food service even longer than I have, and she has therefore seen worse, so she says nothing. I wrote down his license plates, then check on entitled dad's order and give it to him. Entitled dad. Can you believe your stupid coworker? What kind of Coke? Honestly. Me. Sir, that stupid coworker is my sister, so I would advise you to stand down. I'm the only one allowed to call her stupid. Sister 2 laughs at this because I have never called her stupid in our lives. She's much smarter than me, and we both know it. Entitled dad. Well, maybe you should call her stupid for asking what kind of Coke. Me. In case you haven't noticed, many Southerners call soda of any kind Coke, so of course she had to clarify. Sister 2 gives entitled dad his Coke, which he takes a sip of and promptly spits out. I wanted Diet Coke. Sister. You asked for Coke. That is Coke. You should have clarified Diet Coke when I asked. Entitled dad. Shut up. And he throws the Coke at her, soaking her uniform. I was seriously ready to throw hands because that's my sister, and he just threw a soda at her. I give him back his card and tell him to kindly buzz off with my customer service smile while coworker goes to grab a manager. Entitled dad. Give me my Diet Coke and comp my kids' meals for your stupid mistake. I simply shut the window and wait for awesome manager. Awesome manager. What happened here? Sister. He threw the drink he ordered at me because he failed to mention he wanted diet when I asked. Awesome manager opens the window. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Not until I get my money back from your stupid employees, and that tiny jerk gets fired. Manager. Fired for what? She told me to buzz off. Manager. OP, is this true? Sister. Of course not. Entitled dad. It's true. Check your cameras. Manager. Fine. But I must ask you to leave the drive-thru. You're holding up the line. Entitled dad yells again and speeds into the parking lot, leaving his kids in the car and storming inside. Manager. Are you sure you didn't? Me. Of course not. Manager, you know me. Entitled dad comes inside, his face contorting with rage as he spots me cleaning up the mess he made. That little jerk called me names. Manager. I highly doubt that, but since you kindly asked, sarcasm, we can check the cameras. Awesome manager checks the cameras and sees entitled dad throwing stuff at my sister and sees my customer service smile as I told entitled dad to buzz off. I did not call him names, but since I was smiling and manager can't read lips to save his life, he takes mine and sister's side and asks entitled dad to pay to have sister's uniform replaced. Heck no, she messed up my order. Manager. I can clearly see you throwing things at her. Of course, we could press charges if sister wishes. Sister had been cleaning herself up in the bathroom, so I take a guess as to what she'd want. Me. She isn't very confrontational, so I think she'll settle for you paying the damages. Nobody asked you. Me. Manager, I changed my mind. I think after seeing entitled dad's attitude toward her sister, my sister would love to press charges. Entitled dad. My brother is a lawyer. I'll have your entire restaurant closed down. Manager whispering to me. OP, did you get entitled dad's plates? Me. I wrote them down as soon as he started getting nasty. Entitled dad. What are you whispering about? I'll get both of you fired. Manager. Sir, I'm going to ask you again to leave or I will call the police. Fine. Your restaurant is nasty anyways. Entitled dad storms out. I gave awesome manager the napkin I wrote the license plates down on, and manager stays in the office to call the cops. Sister did not want to press charges like I predicted, but we were both allowed to go home early. I stayed to help coworker in the drive-thru until the rush died down and left with sister after. Since her pants were ruined, I bought her a new pair at Walmart before we went home. This took place shortly before sister went back to college and I started college after the summer. So I still don't know if entitled dad ever got justice. Usually when telling this story in real life, I embellish the ending with a court battle in which entitled dad gets totally owned. But unfortunately, that didn't actually happen. A person can dream though. What's your favorite flavor of Coke, if you know what I mean? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got entitled parent tries taking disabled mother's parking spot, gets humiliated. Okay, so this story happened something like 20 years ago, so my memory of the exact details are somewhat hazy. My mother has multiple sclerosis, and over the almost 30 years since she was diagnosed, it has taken her ability to walk. Today she needs a wheelchair just to get around the house and sometimes has trouble transferring from the wheelchair to her armchair or bed. But this event took place back when she could still get by with a wheeled walking frame over short distances and only needed a wheelchair if it involved extended distances, such as, for instance, doing the weekly shop at the local supermarket. I can't remember exactly how old I was when this happened, but it must have been before I got my driver's license, as I was sitting in the passenger seat when this happened. I was going shopping with my mom, so I could push the trolley and do any heavy lifting while she got around in her wheelchair. We arrived at the supermarket and only the very last disabled parking bay was free. Not a problem, as we only needed one. The car park was very clearly laid out and marked as being one way, meaning that you were expected to go the long way around if you missed a bay, which is why we were surprised when we encountered a car coming the other way, trying to get into the same parking space. Cue classic 2 cars, 1 space scene. We've all been there. Windows are rolled down so my mother and the other driver can discuss what's happening. I will be paraphrasing due to not remembering the exact wording. Entitled parent: "That's my space." Mom: "You came the wrong way." Entitled parent: "I know, but I need that space for my daughter." I look over and there's a baby seat in the back of the other car. Mom: "Is your daughter disabled?" "No." Mom: "Then you need to use the family bays. The supermarket had more family bays than it had disabled bays, so they were just a little further from the doors." Entitled parent: "Those are too far to walk with my kid." Mom: "Well, at least you can walk." This line I remember perfectly. Now, my mother has never been one to use her disability as an excuse. Even today, she tries to do as much as she possibly can for herself, but she is not one to stand by and let people sideline or take advantage of her because of it. Entitled parent turns a truly wonderful shade of green, my mother's words having cut through her defenses and scored a critical hit. She backs up and makes her way over to the family bays, allowing us to park in peace. While we were in the supermarket, I happened to catch a glimpse of entitled parent as she pushed her daughter around in a trolley. She saw my mom in her wheelchair and did a quick 180 and walked off, appropriately ashamed of her previous actions. I like to think that maybe we stopped her from turning into a full Karen that day. Next we've got entitled parent thinks I work at WonderWorks and demands I turn down the volume. Backstory: me and my family decided to go down to Myrtle Beach. It's on the east coast of the US for everyone who doesn't know, for vacation. Now, Myrtle Beach is kind of like a tourist attraction, hence why it has WonderWorks. And for those of you who don't know what WonderWorks is, it's basically like a mini amusement park with tons of science experiments and stuff inside. Anyway, they have a wind tunnel so you can see how fast winds are going in a hurricane. But this particular entitled parent and her kid didn't like how loud the wind tunnel was. So, on to the story. Wind tunnel starts up. Entitled parent shouting over the fans: "Can you turn the volume down? I have a headache." Me, also shouting over the fans: "The door is right next to you. You can leave if it's too loud." Entitled kid starts bawling, but I couldn't hear him. "Look what you did. You made entitled kid cry." Wind tunnel starts to stop. Me, starting to lower my voice: "I'm pretty sure the fans are what made him cry." Entitled parent, still thinking the fans are on: "You made him cry. I told you to turn down the fans." Some of you might be thinking that I work there, but nope, she somehow thought I was working there. Anyway, me: "First of all, I don't work here, and I told you the door was right next to you." The employee running the wind tunnel comes over. Employee: "What seems to be the problem?" "Your employee didn't turn down the volume on the wind tunnel." Yes, she said that. Employee: "First of all, he doesn't work for us, and the wind tunnel is at a set speed." "Lies. I want him fired." Again, he doesn't work for us. "I will get all of you fired." Points to everyone in the wind tunnel. Mass confusion. Entitled parent screaming nonsense while she walks out the exit. Employee: "Sorry everyone, some people may have a screw loose." Me Still trying to process what happened. I'm going to go to a different experiment thing. Luckily, entitled parent or her kid didn't come back, and I had a fun time there. And for you people who want to go to WonderWorks, it's expensive. $30 for one adult, $20 for a kid, and 3 and under get in free. Anyway, hope all of you liked this story and have a good day. Next we've got, and all because of a keyboard. I was in Walmart in the electronics section looking for a new keyboard. I am a klutz and spilled my Coke on the keyboard, and of course, keys began to stick, finally shorting out. As I checked out the keyboards, checking the prices, a somewhat elderly gentleman stood next to me. He was looking at the various styles and prices. He asked what the difference was between 2 keyboards, and I told him one is just for everyday use and the other was geared more for gamers. He asked me why some are RGB backlit. I said, it must be for aesthetics or something. Some gamers treat their PCs like they are classic cars. They are souped up with the latest tech. There are a couple of keyboards here that are backlit, so the lettering on the keys don't fade over time. I'm no expert in electronics. It's best if you ask a sales rep. The gentleman thanked me and found a sales rep. I picked up my keyboard and headed to the register when I heard a voice. "Excuse me, I have been waiting 20 minutes for you to finish." I said, "Impossible, I've only been here for 5 minutes." "Well, that's neither here nor there. Help me with this television. It has a picture of Netflix on it. Does Netflix come free when you buy it?" I said, "No, probably not." "That's false advertising. If it has Netflix on the box, it should be free." I said, "Well, ma'am, you should email or call the television manufacturer or Netflix and suggest it." "Well, it has Netflix on the box. I am buying this television. I should get it free." "Ma'am, there is nothing I can do for you except tell you to get a Netflix account. I'm not too tech savvy when it comes to smart TVs." Then it dawned on me. She thought I worked there. "No wonder you only sell keyboards. You're not that bright." Then I uttered those magic words that has me posting here again. "Ma'am, you misunderstood. I don't work here." That gentleman I was talking to was asking my advice. And with that, the floodgates opened. The accusations of not wanting to help her and being lazy. I didn't try to interrupt her. I let her go on her mindless rant, all the while a crowd had filtered around us. "Ma'am, are you done? Look at me. I'm in dirty jeans, high tops, and a Pink Floyd t-shirt, along with my winter coat. Since when is this standard issue for a Walmart employee?" I spoke softly because I learned the best way to get someone's attention is talk softly so they will quiet down to hear you. "Ma'am, if you continue with this attitude, these people will think you are a serious threat to me and them, and maybe even yourself. So please just calm down and try to comprehend these words. I do not work here. I am going to talk to you slow so these words sink in." She heard a few giggles and turned around and got a look at the people staring at her. She stopped like a deer caught in the headlights. Some smirked, some just shook their head in disbelief. A grown woman would act this way. The woman walked away, humiliated. I tried to be polite about it, but there is only so much a person can take. As she left, the crowd left. I went to the register with my keyboard in hand. The cashier said she felt sorry for me and she would be unemployed for slugging her. I just paid for my keyboard, shrugged it off, and said, "Some people, you know." And so here I am with a new keyboard and a new post. Side note, I don't call her Karen because I have a sister named Karen, and she is far from being the internet meme Karen. And shoutouts to our re-generals of the day, Gamer Girl, Jimothy Games, and King Juggernaut. Become tomorrow's re-generals by leaving as many reads as you can in the comments below, and please listen to my playlist every night when you go to sleep.